If you're afraid to share your art, please watch this video. Hi, I'm Kiwi Kana, a freelance illustrator and comic artist, and my goal here on YouTube is to share art advice and all of the mistakes that I've made as an artist so that you don't have to make them yourself. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what to do if you're just really afraid to share your artwork. And we're also going to be painting a tiny little baby dragon in the background so that you don't get just totally bored of listening to me talk for 6 minutes straight. Now, as someone who has a degree in sequential art, I am no stranger to being very afraid to share my work, especially during art critiques. I remember during one particular assignment, I submitted a draft of a comic I was working on, and my professor told me that he was really disappointed in my work, that he knew I could do better and this wasn't good enough. And that stung, right? I was embarrassed, I was frustrated, and honestly, I still think about it to this day. And that's the fear, that somebody is going to look at your work and think it's bad. And I'll tell you right now that that is going to happen. Whether it's a teacher or a mentor or a hiring committee, if you want to be a professional artist, somebody at some point is going to look at your work and they probably won't like it. Or maybe it just won't resonate with them. And that's okay. That has to be okay. I think it's particularly difficult for artists because it's so hard to separate ourselves from our work. It feels like we are our work. It's so incredibly personal that if somebody critiques your artwork, or if your art doesn't get a lot of traction, it feels like a personal failure. Now, I'm sure you've heard before that it's important to separate yourself from your work and not take critiques personally, but that's a lot easier said than done. So genuinely, the one thing that made a really big difference for me was actually teaching myself. A couple of years ago, I ran a summer art class, and a lot of my students were really nervous to share their work. I think they probably felt exactly like I did when I was in class, and I remember thinking that it was a shame that they were nervous because I was excited to see what they were drawing. It honestly didn't matter to me if it was good or not, it just mattered if they were engaging in the topic, if they were trying their best. And even if I gave critiques or corrected things that needed improvement, I never once thought that any of them were bad artists or should be embarrassed to share their work. And this was really eye-opening to me, because as obvious as it should have been, I realized that this is probably what my professors were thinking about me. And suddenly I felt a little ridiculous that I had been so nervous to show them my work. Really, I think it's important just to experience the other side of things firsthand. It's difficult to get into the headspace of a teacher or a mentor if you haven't experienced it yourself. But if you can't run your own draw class or tutor another art student, maybe rope in a friend or a family member to run a practice class with, and then just see how you feel about their work. Regardless of if it's amazing or not, I can pretty much guarantee you that you're not going to think less of them regardless of what their art looks like. And it's important to remember that that's probably what other people are thinking about you. Okay, aside from all of that, let's talk about the biggest beast of all, social media. This is especially hard because it can feel really demoralizing when your work isn't succeeding online, or when you're comparing yourself to all of these incredible artists and you feel like you'll never live up to them. I feel this way all of the time, and I know that the art world can be very competitive, but it's also important to remember that all of these artists are your allies. These are people who understand what it's like to be an artist, and I guarantee you that they are either experiencing or have experienced all of the fear and worry about sharing their artwork that you have. But I know it can still feel scary, so I hope what I'm about to say will help alleviate some of that fear. I know that when I meet other artists, whether online or in person, I'm not critiquing their artwork in my head. In fact, I'm not really thinking about the art product in the traditional sense at all. Instead, I'm excited to talk about their process, what unique experiences they've had that have led them to create art in the way that they do. And I think that's probably similar to how other artists feel when they look at your work. I've met some insanely talented artists, and it's definitely hard not to compare myself, but I have to remember that everyone is on their own artistic journey, and we all bring something special and different to the table. Your unique perspective is what's exciting, not just the work that you produce. I know that this is a really difficult topic, and despite some of the advice that I've given, I also know that there's really no easy fix. What works is going to vary from person to person, and at the end of the day, there's just a little bit of exposure therapy that you have to put yourself through. You have to put your work out there and feel a little uncomfortable before you can actually get comfortable with it. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, but it's also the truth. The key really is to start small. Maybe that looks like sharing your artwork with a trusted friend or family member, although I will say it's a lot harder for me to share my work with people I actually know versus strangers on the internet. Maybe that sounds a little odd, but if that's true for you, know that you're not alone. So maybe it does look like just starting that Instagram account or YouTube channel and enjoying that bubble that comes with small creatordom. I know I do. So now is the time in the video where I invite all of you fellow artists to shamelessly promote yourselves in the comments below. Face that fear or discomfort. I'm always excited to see other artists' work, and I'm sure everyone else feels that way too, so please feel free to share your work. And in the spirit of shameless promotion, I will actually be tabling at AwesomeCon this year, so if you're in the DC area, come say hi and check out my table. I would love to meet you. I'm at table E15, so I'll hope to see some of you there. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and seeing this little baby dragon come together. I have 3 more dragons in the series, so if you want to see those, let me know and I'll probably post them at some point on my channel. Thank you so much again, and remember, you are not alone. Every artist goes through this, so be brave and I'll see you in the next one.